Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to Sugar Coated Murder Podcast, a brilliant true crime podcast hosted by two zany sisters, all while baking up delicious treats in their kitchen. Here are your podcast hosts, Karen Devaney and Ann Varner.
Episode.
I am so delighted.
You know what we're doing tonight? We're slaying
we
in the
are.
kitchen.
It's another slay. I'm so excited. We found another friend and another person that's brave enough to slay in the kitchen with us.
I mean, brave.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Who is it?
Her name's Jode.
Oh, okay.
Her name is Jode Millman, and she is an author.
Right.
She's an award-winning author.
Oh, my gosh.
We aspire to be her.
Yes, we do.
And she's a lawyer, which is so out of my league.
Oh, my gosh. We really need to stay on the up and up tonight.
I know. We cannot have any criminal activity.
Nothing illegal is happening.
No. Well, I don't know when it ever did, but whatever. This podcast is probably illegal, but it's okay. Welcome, Jode. We are so happy to have you with us.
Hey, Karen. Hey, Ann. How you doing this evening?
Doing good.
We are so fine. If we were any finer, it'd be illegal, and then you would be involved.
Oh, Lord.
There we go. There we go.
Jode, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I know you gals are down in Charleston. I'm at the other end of the northeastern coast. I'm in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is about an hour and a half north of New York City on the Hudson River. And I grew up here, spent some time away, lived in Syracuse, where I went to law school, New York City, where I went to law school. And then we lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a little while. And you know what? I never was so glad to leave a place.
That's how I felt about Maryland. Yeah. No offense to people that live in Maryland, but not my cup of tea.
And we were ready to bolt out of that place.
Well, you know, it's. I think like you guys are used to the to the way your topography is, and you've got wonderful ocean, and I mean, I've got the mountains here, I've got the Hudson River, and then when you're in the middle of the heartlands and you don't have anything,
I don't know how those people function. We've always been close to water. We've always been.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too.
We've always lived near the coast or on the coast. So I don't know how people function like in the middle of the country. I feel really badly for them. They're not really living the life that they could live.
Well, I consider myself an honorary South Carolinian.
Yes, Carolinian. You're good.
We had a place down in Hilton Head for 35 years, almost 38 years, and it had to be near the water. So I mean,
of course,
I love it down there. Those Georgia pines, I love them.
Yes, and all the gators, you just
yeah, the gators, right?
I got to tell you, the beach. Yeah, me too. We do too. As a matter of fact, a couple nights ago, we were out on the beach after work for a beautiful sunset. It was so gorgeous. We were out there trying to write a little bit.
Right.
But we took the laptop out there and sat, and my family went, and we really love to do that. My whole family is out there at the beach.
They're out there today.
Yes.
How about that?
They'll leave me behind in a minute when it comes to the beach. So, yeah.
There's a lot to like about the beach. I mean, I would even go when we were down there in February. I would go down to the beach and I would be in the water. Yeah. I didn't care. I'm here. I don't care. It's going to be warmer than New York. I'm in the water. So,
that's very true.
That.
And honestly, when you're in the water in February, there's less chance of a shark attack.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true. I just made that up.
Not believe a word she says when it comes to your safety.
You probably
okay.
No, I like to make things up, but it sounds really good.
It does.
Sounds like no shark attacks in February.
Yeah.
I think I'm just declaring it.
Okay. So, Jode, let's hear, what is your claim to fame?
Well, my claim to fame, you mentioned that I'm a lawyer, and do you want to talk about the book or just talk about me for a little while? What would you like to know about? Because it's interesting because I would have to say my law life and my writing life are so intertwined with each other, both teaching me how to write, which is really kind of interesting because I think that lawyers are really storytellers, if you think about it.
Yes.
Because when you are presenting a case to a judge or a jury or to the other side, you have to tell your client's story. And so over the years, I practiced for many, many years, I found myself not being more fictional in what I was saying, but just, adding intonations and just trying to make my presentations a lot more interesting.
Right. Sure. So you added a little drama to it.
Definitely drama. Because I practiced matrimonial and family law. So, we can't have any more drama than that, right?
That is so true. My gosh. Yeah, I agree. I think lawyers are definitely storytellers. Anytime they get up, I love to watch real life courtroom dramas or whatever you call them. TV, because I really love to watch the different attorneys from both sides tell these stories that you believe both of them because they're so good at the storytelling. And then it's like, how would I ever be a juror?
Right. How would I make it
like, I believe it'd be the last person that talked is going to be the winner.
Right.
Like it's going to have nothing to do with the case. It's just going to be what attorney I thought put on the best show.
You cannot be a juror. She's out.
She's out. You're disqualified. Right?
Note to self.
Yes. If you think about it, there are two sides to every story. And, it's the job of let's say if you're doing a criminal case, it's the job of the criminal defense attorney, to paint your client in the rosiest picture. And then on the other side, it's the prosecutor to make him look like a villain. So it's the juror's job or the trier of fact's job to decide, who's not necessarily who's telling the truth, but you're right, who's more convincing.
Yeah, right? It is. It comes down to being convincing, and that is putting on a show.
So was it a natural progression for you then as a lawyer to decide to write a book? Was there a certain point where you were like, I've got to write this book?
Actually, the answer is yes, because both of the stories that I've written about were stories that were inspired by crimes which I had a personal brush with.
Right.
And the first, my debut novel, which is The Midnight Call, and that's being re-released by my new publishing company on October 11th, tells a story. Actually, it was inspired by my history teacher, by my junior high school history teacher. And he was like an incredibly charismatic guy, and he really made world history interesting. When we were studying China, he'd dress up like Genghis Khan. If we were studying American history, come in like Robert E. Lee. Here was a guy who was really dedicated.
He was very dedicated to his craft.
Incredibly dedicated. And the students loved him. And he was the type of guy that when you graduate and you go back to visit your school, you'd go visit him because he was such a cool guy.
Yeah. Right.
Well, 10 years after I graduated, the summer I graduated from law school, I was sitting at home and opened up our local paper, and there's his picture on the front page, teacher held in connection with student's death. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
So I knew the family of the student because his brother was in my homeroom class. I knew all the attorneys. I knew the judges. I knew everybody. And I knew the killer.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy. Oh, the killer,
Yeah.
And what was weird is that at the time, as I've grown older and as I've written this story, I keep thinking back to what kind of danger were all of me, all my friends and my classmates in. This guy snapped. Why did he snap? In 1979 and not 1969 when I was sitting in this class.
You're exactly right. It makes you feel like you really have dodged death.
Yeah, dodge the bullet. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my God.
That is a literal thing right there. Like that is, that you can't get more of an epitome of an example of that.
Exactly.
So I kept thinking, after as I was following all of this, I was going to the courtroom, the courthouse and getting, the records and pulling things out and collecting a file thinking, someday I'm going to write about this. Because it's such an incredible story about how we don't know the people that are closest to us. Do you know what I mean? That who do you really ever know?
Exactly.
And and there's a term in criminal psychology that's called the mask of sanity. Mm-hmm. And that mask of sanity is what people how serial killers are able to just live amongst us and to it's that mask. We all have different masks, right? And so their mask that they present is not themselves. It's not the real person. It is what they need to do to convince other people that they are just like them. And that is an actual term. It's the mask of sanity. And I think that, we all have a little bit of that, but I think killers have an extra dose.
An extra dose. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this gun this teacher was actually acquitted of the crimes.
What?
Because in New York, he was determined to be criminally insane and unable to stand trial. So instead of him going to jail, he's been sent to a psychiatric center, forever. But because it's New York State, he has the ability every 2 years to request to be released. So every 2 years, it's like rubbing salt in the wounds because it's on the front page of the paper and the story comes up again. And, it's just, and also I got a little flack from people when my book came out.
Really?
They would say to me, well, it's not necessarily you're taking advantage of the situation, but I know the family and I know everybody was kind of woven into the fabric of the story. And some people were really pretty upset about the story.
But
I can understand that.
I can understand it, but you also have the right to tell your story. You have the right to do that.
Expression. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And they have the right to.
We're going to really dive into this.
Yeah,
this is so fascinating. And I did listen to the audio version of The Midnight Caller, so I'm very excited to talk about it with you. But let's go over the recipe that y'all are going to slay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about this recipe that we are slaying. Okay, so I've got to pull it up again because I keep shutting off my phone like a doofus. And it is they're called raspberry cheesecake. I don't have the title. Raspberry cheesecake bars, I think, is what they're called. It's not a bar; it's cookie. It's a raspberry cheesecake cookie. But what I would call these are thumbprint cookies.
Okay,
but it's okay. We're gonna use this recipe, which we already have. And the really cool thing is, it's 5 ingredients.
Oh, I love a 5 ingredients.
Love it. And the 5 ingredients, you mix them up and then you put it in the refrigerator and it chills for 45 minutes to up to 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
So, you have time to take a break, have a drink, whatever, eat some berries, whatever you want to do. And then, it's like you cook it in stages. So luckily, Jody and we're on the same page because we're besties. And we have already mixed up and chilled our dough.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is get a pan with some parchment paper on it. Do you have that, Jody?
I'm all prepared.
Oh, wow. Have you preheated your oven?
I'm all prepared. Yes.
Well, of course you are. You're an attorney.
I follow directions. Yes, I follow directions.
All right. So what we're going to do, and this dough really reminds me, I don't know if you've ever made lemon bars.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I've made lots of them, unfortunately. And this dough reminds me of the lemon bars the crust that you put first. It's almost exactly the same recipe when I was going through it. It
smells very cream cheesy, though.
It is cream cheesy.
Yeah.
It's a little cream cheesy. So we're going to take our scooper, our super duper, not pooper scooper, and we're going to scoop the dough into a ball.
Okay.
And I just scoop that right into my very clean hand. And then I just kind of form it into a ball. And it's a little bit crumbly, but it'll form for the most part.
Mine isn't crumbly at all. Mine's very doughy.
Oh, good.
Okay, Jody. Right. That's just perfect.
I'm showing you up over here.
The whole point is to slay in the kitchen. What's wrong with that?
And a lot of times we're not the ones that slay, but that's okay. That's okay.
That's the whole point, is that y'all are better than me or us. So anyway, we're going to put a ball and we're going to fill up our tray, our cookie sheet, with our cookies in balls.
How many do you think this is going to yield? Any idea?
I think it yields 2 to 3 dozen. I wouldn't say more than 3 dozen.
Wow.
So I definitely think it's at least 2. Do you agree with me?
Do I need to put the cookie balls close together, or are they going to?
I don't think they're going to spread any more than when you put your indentation in it.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
You can put them a little bit close together. And I'm just going to do like one batch with us so that we can cook them and taste them and all that. And if we like it, we'll cook the rest of them later. And if not, we'll just never speak of it again and throw the dough away.
During the pandemic, one of the things that I did was I decided I made a list of things I wanted to learn how to bake.
Oh, a baking bucket list.
I made my bake bucket list. And so I learned how to make French croissants.
Oh.
French macarons. Babka.
Oh my God.
And pie crust. Because that was always a challenge for me.
Wow.
And the most difficult were the croissants. Mine came out, they were more like paperweights.
Right.
Croissants.
Yeah, because that's just layers and layers of dough and butter and dough and butter and dough and butter.
So did you make your own? Did you make your own phyllo dough?
I made my own dough. It took 2 days.
Wow,
that is commitment.
There was a class I took online, and we would meet for 4 hours one day, make the dough. Then we set up the dough overnight, and then the next day we would reconvene and make the croissants and cook them. And some of them had stuffing in them. We made chocolate, plain, and I think it was almond.
Yes,
almond is our favorite.
So it was really a lot of fun.
Did you use almond paste?
Pardon me?
Did you use almond paste for the almond croissant?
Yes, and I had trouble finding it locally, so I had to get it on Amazon.
Oh gosh, that's crazy! I love anything with almond paste. I'm there. I don't care.
I love almond paste.
I'll put that on my
chocolate. Was really good too. The chocolate was really good.
I bet the chocolate ones were good, and I like chocolate croissants, but I'm a sucker for the almond.
Is just so feels decadent.
It really does. It feels good. It feels good.
It feels good.
But I learned it's better for me to buy them from somebody else and eat the ones that I made.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some things that are worth the money.
We have found that Trader Joe's does excellent with croissants.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Really?
They come frozen and they come in a pack of 4, and you just put them out on your baking sheet the night before you want to cook them, so they have time to thaw out and rise. The next morning you stick them in the oven, and it's like you made them homemade from scratch.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
Trader Joe's.
I got to tell you, they have chocolate and they have the almond, and they are delicious. And we actually have a French bakery around here, and I hope they're not listening, but Trader Joe's has better. They're very, very expensive croissants.
They're better almond croissants.
They're almond ones. Yeah. I don't know about.
I feel like they get a little over almond.
They do. They over. I mean, there is a limit.
Over almond, huh?
Yes, you
then
can't.
It's a little soapy. I feel soapy. I don't know.
Soapy.
I mean,
maybe that's how the French take baths.
Maybe.
No, we're so stupid.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. I'll take some almond. I'll put almond paste on my toothbrush.
You're weird.
I'm just saying it seems like a yummy thing to do. So
I sound yummy. Yes.
I've gotten a dozen on my sheet.
I'm up to 8. I'm going to be, I think, 18.
Oh,
good for you.
Yeah. Because I won't have much dough left by the time.
That's good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Get as much on there as you can.
Yeah. But you know what else was fun? Making the macarons. And there was a woman in Paris who gave online classes. So I took her online class.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard about people taking master classes to learn how to make those.
And, it's not that they're not hard. They're just a lot of steps. And they're very expensive. All the ingredients. Again, almond. You have to use almond flour, which is very, very expensive.
Yes.
Yes, and I got to tell you,
bucket list.
It's on our baking bucket list for sure. But again, with the Trader Joe's,
they've got great ones.
They have incredible ones, and they're different flavors. I think there's like a pistachio, a chocolate, a caramel, and a vanilla is what I want to say.
How about
Right,
that?
they're in a little kit, right?
Well, they're frozen.
Yeah,
and you just
I've had those. Yep.
Yeah, and I really like them.
They are terrific. They're good. You know, you can freeze macarons up to 6 months.
Oh, I did not know.
Yes, yeah.
You can get to bacon on some macarons.
And we're not like Trader Joe's isn't paid us any money.
No, Trader Joe's does not pay us to advertise.
I love Trader Joe's. We don't have one. I have to drive 45 minutes to go to one.
Oh no!
Oh gosh, we have to go into the next
I
town.
go with a cooler and I stock up.
I don't blame you. I drink their creamer. They have a really good oat milk coffee creamer.
Yeah,
and I love it. So when I go, I get 6 at a time. And then my kids come over and they take some. So then, it doesn't take me long to go through them.
You know, they also have they used to have a really good frozen key lime pie too.
Oh.
I used to stock up, and then when I would have dinner parties, I would, take them out, in the raspberry tarts. They have great stuff.
Really, they really do. We're spoiled because our mom makes the best key lime pie, and she has taught us how to make it now because it's one of those things. When my daughter turned 21, her present to my daughter was they went into her kitchen and she taught my daughter how to make the pie, which is really cool. And then we were allowed to learn because we threw a fit because she taught my daughter and she didn't teach us. And we're like first in line. So hello. So now we have her recipe and we can make it. And she makes it with the meringue and everything. And it is so good.
Yeah. She's taken a few recipes and merged them.
Yeah. It took her like a year to develop her own recipe.
What does she use for the limes? Does she use fresh lime? What does she use?
She does. If the key limes are in season, she prefers fresh key limes.
And that must be out of this world.
Yeah.
It is so good. And then if we can't find the fresh key limes, we use Nellie and Joe's.
Yeah.
Key lime juice.
Yep. They're the best.
Yeah.
If you can't find it, that's what I use. Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So it definitely is. All right. So you have your cookies on.
I have my cookies. Yes.
Okay. So we need to put our thumbs in the cookies.
Now that I wash my hands. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just using this little spoon to be like a thumb. Okay. I mean, you can do it either way. I just don't like it.
I have a little spoon.
Look at that.
So I'm just going to, and I'm just going to press a little, just make a little indentation in it on each one.
Oh, yeah.
That makes a little well.
My cookies turn out to be a little sticky. I don't know why, but
mine are sticky too. And I think it's just the dough. I think it just has so much cream cheese in it. And butter. It's really butter and cream cheese with a little.
Oh my God. Yes. I was watching it get mixed up and was like, whoa, this is mostly butter. It's very little flour compared
to. I know. Very little flour and not as much sugar as I thought it would be. But I guess we're going to get the sweetness from the preserves.
Oh, there was still enough sugar. I think there was enough sugar.
Oh, that's true. It was a cup. It was a cup of sugar. That's enough. But it was only a cup of flour. And that's what I was like, well, how's this going to work? But it seems to be okay. It's just beautiful.
They taste good too already.
So once you have all your little indentations, just add it says a teaspoon. I'm just going to use this little spoon and kind of.
Oh, okay. We cook it with the jam in it.
You sure do. You put your little jam in it and you're using apricot. And I'm using blueberry. And if we lived closer, we could make a beautiful plate of cookies because it would be.
Yeah, we could. A rainbow, like a rainbow. There we go. Isn't this fun?
I love it. We appreciate you being willing to bake with us. Not everybody will bake with us, but we have had some people. We actually taught a man over in the UK how to make vanilla scones.
Wait a second. Isn't that where they come from?
Yeah. Yes. But he's a bachelor and he just didn't know how to make he's not really a baker, but he is now. He has the recipe and he uses it a lot. He takes it into work and everybody asks when the next batch is coming. So he's got a lot of use out of that. But yeah, he was really excited to learn that recipe.
We also taught a Bigfoot enthusiast how to make a key lime pound cake.
We did. And he made a key lime pound cake with us, and he did such a great job. But he was a Bigfoot
enthusiast.
Hunter. He doesn't call it hunter; he calls it a researcher. But he said, "I'm not hunting to kill anything. I just want to know about."
Did he ever see Bigfoot?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's had lots of run-ins with.
What has he got? One of Bigfoot's toes, or
He's got a phalange.
A phalange.
Okay, all right. Now this is starting to sound a little fishy to me.
Yeah. Well, actually, he was written up in the paper and everything. A museum came and carbon dated it for him.
Wow.
It was pretty old, but he spends a lot of time. He's in Florida, and he spends a lot of time out in the wilderness of Florida.
Yeah.
And he has run into more than just Bigfoot out there. He's run into some different cryptids. I guess that's what Bigfoot is, in the cryptid category.
And there may or may not be some psychedelic.
I mean, he does
enjoys in his tea or.
Yeah, I mean, he does. I mean, I can't fault the guy. Before he has to go out and battle the mosquitoes, he needs a little bit of
a little nature, a nip of nature.
He has a nip of nature. Okay. That's what. And so, I mean, I think that makes him a little bit more in tune to the language of the Sasquatch.
He's on the same wavelength to pick up the sound.
I thought the Sasquatch was like out in Washington State or out in the
No, he's everywhere.
He's in a lot of places. He's almost like Santa Claus. Like he goes everywhere.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of
like the Loch Ness Monster, that's everywhere too. Every lake, every river has something,
Yeah, we've just got gators.
Well, lately we have had some Sasquatch sightings here locally.
Some of the power guys, right? Working on the power lines.
Yes.
The nest.
They've seen the nest and they've heard the calls of Bigfoot.
Okay.
A cell phone or anything. I'm not sure how the Sasquatch called them, but it's fine. They heard the call.
Right.
And I'm not one to question. Everybody does their own thing.
It was a knock. There's a tree knock.
Oh, it was the wood knock.
Right.
Yeah, that was the call. It was the knocking of wood. There was wood knocking.
And we don't know if that particular power worker had any drug tests after that.
I don't know. I don't want to mess with his career.
Yeah.
So
that
he was brave enough to report it, though.
Really?
I am going to put law cookies in law oven.
Okay, because I've got Alexa here. I can set the timer and she'll.
Oh, good. It says bake for 11 to 12 minutes until the edges are just golden, and the dough will still be soft, and that's a good thing. That's what the recipe says. Okay. The dough will still be very soft when we remove them from the oven. That's a good thing.
Okay. So, now, is the jelly going to melt, or is it going to harden? What kind of consistency do you think our little blueberries and apricots are going to have?
It's going to be like a warm jelly, but it's going to stay a jelly. It's not going to melt. It's not going to run. Okay. It'll just kind of stay there. But the nice thing is it bakes into the cookie just under where the jelly is. Mm-hmm. So it should help it stick to the cookie a little bit. But I'm setting my timer actually for 11 minutes. Okay. And I'm going to take another sip of Bailey's.
I'm excited to get back into the story of your teacher.
I am excited about this story.
This murder is completely and totally insane.
Hi there, I'm Dustin. Do you have a comfort show that you always go back to? Or perhaps there's a TV series you haven't seen in a while and wonder if it's still any good? Well, welcome to the Rewatch Recap, a show where friends and I will queue up an older TV show we've seen and then give a breakdown with commentary of how we feel watching it now, and making fun of it if it doesn't hold up, of course. Dropping episodes weekly, it's easy to rewatch along with us. We'll be focusing on shows from most any era, so suggestions are always welcome. It's sure to be fun, so be sure to check in with us every Monday on the Rewatch Recap.
It was really a random killing. It was the victim and the perpetrator never knew each other. It was totally and completely random.
So he just snapped one night? Like, what kind of a home life did he have?
Well, as I understand it, the kids, there were some, he had a house and there was like a service drive that was behind it. Mm-hmm. And there were some kids who were out in the back, and there might have been, a fight or kids joustling each other. Mm-hmm. And he opened the door and he just said to one of the kids, "Hey, you want to come in, and have a few drinks and let's party." And then the kid was never seen again.
So how long did it take for somebody to, what happened to the body?
Well, he murdered and mutilated this kid. I'm not going to go into all the gory details, but it was really very gory. And then he placed a call to a friend of his who was a local attorney, a male and said, look, I've just killed somebody. I really need your help. And the attorney came up to see him. I think what happened was the attorney lived about an hour away and said, look, I'm going to call the rabbi. And this guy, the murderer, wasn't Jewish. He said, but he was part of their social circle. I'm going to call the rabbi and have you talk to the rabbi.
Oh.
So the rabbi got involved and this guy's parents got involved. It was like almost like an intervention that came and went to this guy's house, and he turned himself in. But that's when the game started. I mean, it was like a game started, because what happened was in order to get the charges dismissed, the teacher alleged that this attorney he called violated his attorney-client privilege by notifying his parents and notifying this rabbi as to what had happened.
Right.
But it turned out, and I don't want to give any spoilers about my book.
No, don't spoil it, but this is fascinating.
But that's the whole crux of the story, is that this person, in my book, it's a gal named Jessie Martin, and she's a young pregnant attorney. The teacher calls her, and this teacher was her mentor, her friend, someone that, kind of groomed her to be an attorney, and her father's best friend, very close friend. But then in order to gain his freedom, he chooses his freedom over her and accuses her of violating her attorney-client privilege and jeopardizing her life, her relationship with her partner, her job. I mean, her life goes down the drain because of this mentor. Yeah. So, it's just all about relationships.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
How much of the book is reality? Obviously, that you've created the characters and developed the characters, but did that same scenario happen to the attorney that initially helped him?
Well, some of the law and procedure that I describe in the book parallels the truth.
Okay.
But what I do is, what I write my books, because they're inspired by local crimes, I just take the seedling. What if this happened? Sure. And I insert my characters into that scenario and see how they kind of scramble around and how they handle that situation.
That's really incredible, because then you're not so held to like a certain narrative. Like if you're planting a seed, so you're using the case as a seed, but then you are really growing that on your own, which is nice, because you really are not held to. You're not held to anything. Mm-hmm. You're just saying, what if this were to happen?
Yeah.
Right.
That's fascinating. Right. That's so fascinating.
So after you wrote the book, did you hear from him at all?
I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from anybody other than, some of the people who would come to my book signings, and they would say, how could you write about this? It's such a horrible thing. But I never, and people ask me, did I speak to him? Did I get in contact with him? No, because it's not his story.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's about a teacher's story, but not this particular teacher's story.
Right.
So you didn't hear anything from like the victim's family then? You didn't have to go through any of that?
They've long since left the area.
Right.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That is really
it is a wonderful book. Wonderful book.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Very.
The one that just came out in April is called Hooker Avenue. And again, I had a relationship with that particular crime, because in 1995, my business partner, I bought a law office in downtown Poughkeepsie. And we didn't know, but it came with a problem. And the problem was that the building had been vacant for so long, we bought it from the bank, that it had become a gathering spot for women sex traffic workers.
Oh,
okay.
So when we would go to the office, they were like hanging around our stoop and hanging out on our front porch. And we'd have to say, girls, please, can you take your business elsewhere? I mean, they were nice enough, but then, but they were not harassing our clients, but they were, they were soliciting them. So we kept calling the police and saying, you got to help us here. You got to give us a hand.
Yeah.
So the police didn't do anything initially.
Right.
And then the girls started disappearing.
Oh, no.
And then we discovered, so this was 95, we bought the building. In 98, we discovered that there had been a guy who was stopping in front of our building or by the corner, picking up these women, bringing them back to his house and murdering them.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
So he was a serial killer.
He was a serial killer, but they didn't know it because what happened was these women, the families reported these women missing.
Sure.
Right.
But they would fall through the cracks because that one would be reported over in Beacon, New York, where they lived. One would be reported in Newburgh. One would be reported in Hyde Park. And there was no connection. There was no communication between all the different cities and towns to say, hey, do you have a missing girl? Hey, do you have a missing girl? Hey, do you have a missing girl? Until the families got together in 1998 and went to the district attorney's office and said, look, you haven't done anything. We have 8 women who are missing. You have to do something. You have to find these women. 8 women.
Whoa.
That's really sad.
Over a 2-year period. The police did nothing. Nobody did anything. So they formed this task force where they brought in the FBI and they brought in the State Bureau of Investigation and they had, helicopters. They had everything going on and they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find anybody that they thought could possibly be responsible for the disappearance of these women. So then a woman shows up at one of the local Sunoco stations and she's beaten to a pulp. And the owner of the Sunoco station calls the police and says, look, I've got this woman here. I really think you have to investigate. So they send the cop cars over. They do the investigation. And this woman describes this guy named Kendall Francois. Well, it turns out that they had previously brought him in 6 months ago or prior because another prostitute had complained that she'd been beaten up by him.
Oh my gosh.
So they bring him in, they're interrogating him. And I heard this from the district attorney. She's sitting there. And then all of a sudden, okay, he admits, he beat this woman. Then he admits he's got 4 women buried in his house.
What?
It was like totally random. They had no idea he was just going to admit that this happened.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That is crazy.
So then they go to his house and after 28 days, they exhume 8 bodies.
Oh my God.
Oh, he miscounted.
I guess he wasn't the brightest guy, but
I guess he wasn't keeping track.
Yeah.
Then he had your mask of, what did you say? Your mask
of sanity.
Sanity. Because he was the guy that moved around the community. I mean, he had worked at one of the middle schools as a hall monitor. He'd worked. People knew him. I knew his dentist. I mean, I knew people that that went to college with him, and that was the whole thing. Just kind of like blew open.
Oh my gosh,
that is amazing.
Wow.
That is amazing.
It gives me chills. I just got chills. That's crazy.
I just think they need to turn that book into a movie.
They do need to turn both of them.
I'll vote for that.
I'm sure you do, but I'm serious. They both are so, it's just right in line with all of the stories that we are addicted to.
Absolutely. Yes.
That we watch religiously.
Well, you do. I'm too scared.
I know, I do. I watch it. That's what my background music when I'm working is true crime.
I can't.
It's all the gory true crime. I was just watching a show the other day on cults. That was crazy. Yeah. All the different cults that have happened.
Oh, yeah.
What has happened to the people in them. And it was pretty crazy, but that's my suit. That's the way I soothe myself.
I'm more of a doctor operating, watch people go into the hospital type.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you like those medical shows.
That's all the people with fingers hanging off and it's real. Yeah. Like, I can't do that. I can't do it.
But if you've got your arm cut off, I'm going to watch them sew that sucker right back on.
I cannot do it.
But I did go to nursing school for 2.5 years. So
she did.
It doesn't bother me the way it bothers.
I've never been involved in nursing school. I've never been involved in any life-saving, nothing. I'm not doing it.
And it's very evident because you want to check them?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because she's not the most...
I'm not reliable in crisis, let's just say.
No.
I like to pretend that crisis is not happening.
Right.
And so...
denial. You're in denial.
I'm like those billy goats that freeze. And then they faint. I don't faint, but I could fall over at any minute. And they're not ready.
Oh, you're not going to believe what happened to my cookies.
What happened? Oh, what happened? Did
They all melted into one big cookie.
Nice.
Mine didn't even spread.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I can't wait to see hers.
So you can cut them into bars.
Yeah, now you made bars.
I think I did make bars. Oh, that's what they look like.
Oh, that's great. You can pass them off at bars. Nobody knows the difference.
How much time do take it to the bar?
No, I didn't mean take it to the bar. I'm saying pretend like it's a bar.
How much time do we have left on them? Because my alarm didn't go off.
Oh, our alarm went off, but they still.
I would say we have another minute and a half.
Oh, I'm taking mine out. Mine are, I'm showing them to you.
I can't wait.
Oh,
Big sheets of cookie.
Really? It's like the cookie company when they make the big huge cookie. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Oh, but
It's like a pizza cookie.
They're
love
gorgeous. You've developed a whole new recipe.
I think so.
I think you can
probably bar. You know, you're right. There probably could be bars.
Yeah,
I think that you
absolutely.
can just use a pizza cutter and cut those.
Yeah.
You know, I could have over whipped them.
Sometimes it happens if your butter's not really cold when you're going in. So if the dough wasn't really cold going in, sometimes the butter, if it's already soft, it'll melt a little bit more when you stick it in the oven.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened.
They're still pretty.
They're beautiful, and you can just use a pizza cutter.
So.
Yeah, just cut them like a pizza. And I mean, I think you've got I think it's a whole new recipe.
I think it's perfect.
There
I
we
think they're
go.
gorgeous. Yes.
Isn't that funny though? We followed the same steps.
Yep.
And yours are probably going to turn out to be gorgeous, and mine turned out to be the pizza.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Because my balls weren't gorgeous. But I mean, and typically I would have gorgeous balls.
Oh, I don't know that we should be talking about balls.
Cookie balls. Where's your brain?
The sun is still up.
The sun is still up. We don't talk about that until the sun goes
That's
down.
right. So interestingly enough, Karen and I both have similar scenarios in that we were friends with the family of a person that murdered another person in our community when we were growing up.
Really?
And Karen had a classmate in high school.
I had one of those dodged a bullet moments.
And
Really?
her classmate murdered a mail carrier when they were in high school together.
We were juniors in high school, and I was supposed to have studied with him. We were in exams, and we had a geometry exam the next day. And so we were going to meet at the local library and study because he sat behind me in geometry class. And at the end of school, we were on half days. I told him as he was getting on the bus, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go lay out by the pool because that was where my priorities were, because that's why I'm not an attorney.
Right.
And, and so I didn't meet him that night. And that afternoon after school, about 4:00 in the afternoon, he jumped in. The mail carrier was turning around in their driveway. And he jumped in her car with a hunting knife, and he ended up stabbing her 64 times and slitting her throat.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, he was just angry that you didn't meet him that day.
Something happened.
There was definitely some sort of a snap that happened.
He definitely snapped.
Wow.
But we've gone and gotten all of the court documents as well on that case.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually found the psychologist report because he was a juvenile. He was 17.
Mm-hmm.
He had to see a psychologist and meet with the psychologist to see if he was sane enough. I mean, that's an automatic thing in Virginia. I don't know if it is in every state. Hold on. Anne's taking my cookies out for me, but I'm in the way.
Look how beautiful they are. Look how beautiful they are. Look, those are cookies.
I guess, I don't know what, because I thought I didn't do it right because my dough was so crumbly.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to my dough.
And you know what? It's could be a humidity thing. I mean, who knows? Cooking is just practicing. It's it's not a science fact. It's just we're going to give it a try. So, but anyway, so I got the court documents and reading the psychologist's report. He was a ticking time bomb. Matter of fact, he had a couple of run-ins in the community that had just been handled very quietly, either not in court at all or with our principal, but he never brought it to light that he was having any problems at our school. So this is a guy that, I mean, he was my buddy. Like, he was my math buddy, and he played football and I was a cheerleader. We never had a romantic relationship, but we were friends. We were buddies. And so it just, when it happened and the next day, my dad came in and woke me up to go to school the next day and told me that he had been arrested because he murdered a lady. I didn't believe him. I was like, they've got the wrong guy. It took me months to come to terms. But I kept saying, it's going to come out. They have the wrong guy. They have the wrong guy. But they didn't have the wrong guy. Like the knife that he used to kill her, he had washed it off in the kitchen sink and put it in a tackle box under his bed. And they found it and had her blood in the handle. So it's kind of hard to say it wasn't him. So, but he actually went to prison for life. He got life plus 60 years because he kidnapped her. And he died in prison when he was 40 because prison life is not, he went into prison when he was 17. So, he went to jail. And then once he went to prison, I think he was 18. He actually confessed right before the trial started because he just wanted to save his parents from, they were, of course, having a really hard time. His mom was a bus driver at our school. So it was crazy. But that was just one of those dodge the bullet moments.
Yeah, that was definitely a dodge the bullet moment.
That stays with you. That stays with you for the rest of your life.
Sure, it does.
It just never leaves you. So I think about it all the time. it just pops up, the memory of him and us laughing, and I can hear him laugh. And then I get this picture of this monster. And I'm just like, he walked me on several occasions after either a football game or when we were painting murals for our prom. He would walk me to my car at night alone and make sure I got to my car because we were in dark parking lots, and he'd put me in the car, lock the door, and send me on my way. Yeah. He was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I got the feeling that the school teacher was for his students, this nice, fun, loving teacher, that they didn't see this dark side of him.
They didn't. And nobody saw that, as you said, he had that mask on.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where I learned that term. That's where
the monster was hidden underneath.
Yeah. Right.
It's just crazy. And you wonder, you walk around every day and you in the grocery store, am I standing next to a person whose mask of sanity is about to disintegrate and fall off? And, what could happen? It's crazy. And that's just the psychology of humans. But where I heard the term the first time is when I read the psychologist's report. He talked about Scott's mask of sanity and how it had been more and more difficult for him to keep it together. And so it was just a matter of time. So I could have been his victim.
Yeah.
If I had met him.
That's right.
That's right. But I also have thought for many years, if I had met him, maybe that woman would not have been killed.
You could. Yeah.
But it was so random. So it was just crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy that there are people out there that have just dodged the bullet. So you say, that it hits so close to home with the murders. So can you tell us the status of these two people without giving away anything in your book?
In real life, the serial killer died in prison.
Okay.
And that was in 2014. He died.
All right.
And then the teacher is still in a psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
And, every 2 years we hear about the case and wonder if he, it's like, who was it? The John David Chapman who killed John Lennon? He just came up for parole.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Yeah. And again, I guess for the 11th time. And for the 11th time, they said no. People, they have the right to petition, and they do.
Right.
But with the teacher, though, if you think about it, a teacher is surrounded by so many vulnerable students.
Oh my gosh. I'm surprised I'm surprised that he actually snapped and lured a kid that he didn't know in, when it would have been so much easier to lure a student or an ex-student or a parent in. It's just, it really does speak to, something must have popped.
I don't know.
Right.
That night. It's just crazy.
I went on to Murderpedia when I was finished listening to the book and read about him in real life. And I was like, what? What happened? What happened there?
They don't know what happened. as much as you can have all of the specialists, and all the experts in the world, but you can't explain what goes on in the human mind.
No, but it doesn't even sound like he was exhibiting signs prior to.
He wasn't.
It just one day he was this great teacher, great with the kids, very involved in the education process, and the next minute he's murdered an 18-year-old.
And that's what's really what blows my mind, because so often once the person pops or whatever, they go off their rails. A lot of times you'll have people coming out of the woodwork saying, oh yeah, I mean, remember when he was a kid, he used to light cats on fire, or, he used to mutilate animals, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the thing, is usually that happens. Like when this guy, Scott, got arrested, I mean, there were people that were, but the other cases came to light, and, there were other people that were saying they had run-ins with him and stuff like that. But it doesn't sound like that happened for this teacher.
No, it actually, what happened was that when he started to apply for release from the psychiatric hospital, people started popping up saying, oh, he sexually abused me. Oh, he's a pedophile. He kept all of these things really well hidden. In fact, one of the guys, this is when Oprah was on the air. I mean, how many years is that? 20 years ago, she did a thing about male victims.
Yes.
One of his victims popped up and spoke.
Really?
On Oprah's show.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
over time, people started to, bring out episodes that they'd had with him. And fortunately, that's what's kept him in the hospital, because otherwise he's exhibiting being, the model,
of course,
prisoner.
Absolutely. I've found they all find God when they're ready for parole, and then all help their their fellow prisoners with math, reading, I don't know, and they earn degrees.
Yeah, this guy was a teacher. In prison.
And then all of a sudden they present themselves as what they are not in front of the board. They put on another mask of sanity.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is crazy.
That is crazy.
That's a great name for a title for a book, The Mask of Sanity.
You better copyright that, or say patent, or whatever.
I copyright that. I don't know what to do.
I don't know.
I trademark it.
You got to trademark it. Yeah.
I don't know what to do. You know what to do. I don't know what to do. Okay, so speaking of that, I went on your website, and I'm not a stalker, so don't be nervous. Okay.
Okay.
But I noticed that you give a lot of workshops.
I do. I have a program called the Writers Law School, and people were coming up to me at conferences and saying, "Oh, I hear you're a lawyer." It's a publishing question. So I decided to come up, and especially during the pandemic, I was home, staring at the four walls like everybody else. I said, I'm going to come up with a program that kind of advises writers on copyrights and trademarks and patents and how to start a business and publishing contracts, because I think it's really needed.
Yes.
So it's a short little program. It's about 45 minutes to an hour. I've been doing it at libraries and for arts organizations, really all over the world. It kind of took off. I started it a year ago, July, and it's really been a lot of fun to go out and talk to people and do it. A lot of it's virtual. So, I just did a group in Florida today, and I think it's needed, because when you're a writer, you think about writing. You don't think about being a business person. You don't think about protecting the work that you're spending all this time creating.
Yes, I think it's really important. So I noticed on your list of little things that you offer that you do. That you do editorial support for youth writers.
Yes.
Called.
So
we're very youthful.
Very youthful.
We're like the number on our driver's license. We act very young, like immaturely. But the number on our driver's license might be deceiving, but we're very youthful. So if we were to sign up for that, are you going to ask for an ID?
No, I will not ask for an ID.
Okay, good.
And I'm going to recognize your names anyway.
True.
we need some help. We're trying to emulate a writer. We're trying to act like we're writers.
We're in the process of writing.
You are writers.
We're in the process of writing a book about one of the murders that we covered on our podcast that's actually from our hometown. And we were not birthed to be writers.
No.
We were not educated to be writers. We didn't know that we could write, but we're doing it.
And we both have jobs that involve numbers. We're numbers people.
We're both numbers people.
Okay.
So
But
the podcast has been a real good creative outlet for us because it has nothing to do with numbers.
Right.
So that's good. And so now we're writing this book and
we need workshops.
we need some
There
workshops.
you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, if you go on my website, you'll see the list of all the dates that I'm giving them, and you can sign up. A lot of them are for free. So
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I didn't see anything that was out of our price range. Believe me, I was looking. I was like, I'm going to find the one that's $300 and say, why are you charging $300? And I couldn't find it.
Well, you know, writing is really a muscle. And I mean, honestly, when I started, I was a technical writer because, I mean, that's what lawyers are.
Right.
I was a technical writer. So I had to go, I went to Thriller Fest and I learned, you know, what is a story arc and, you know, how, you know, exactly the plot, where things should happen in your plot. And it's just, you know, and how to craft a good villain. I mean, there's certain things that you can do to learn it.
Fest.
We need to
Where
look
have
at
we
Thriller
been?
Fest. We've been missing out.
You know, there was also one down closer to you in Florida called Sleuth Fest.
That's we definitely we are sleuths.
There you go. You are sleuths.
We're
Sleuth.
Not sloths. Sleuths.
No, I mean on Sundays I tend to be a sloth, but on all the other days I'm sleuthing. We're out there sleuthing all the time.
There you go. See,
our podcast is We Sleuth.
But that's what you do. You know, it's a muscle. You can learn it. It's craft. You can just have fun. That's what it's all about, having fun.
Yes.
Wow.
And that was a piece of advice that we got from a local author here that we know. And I was reaching out to him saying, we don't even know how to start. Like we feel stupid just trying to put words on a page because we know that this is so above us. And he's like, it's not above you because you already talk. So just write the way you talk.
Right.
And that's what's going to bring your personalities into it because that's what makes your podcast popular. And that's what's going to help your book. And that was really, to me, it was like permission to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just needed somebody to say permission to write.
An author that's actually sold books is telling you you can do it.
Yes, absolutely. So, but anyway, we're in awe of your books.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
not my cookies though. My cookies are nothing.
No, well, let's taste them.
Why don't you pizza cut one and let's taste it because it might taste better than it looks.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Okay, I'm getting the pizza cutter. My shiny red pizza cutter.
I love it. Get in my mouth.
This is weird. Don't say that.
You know what? They're so goopy. They just kind of fell apart. They're just like all buttery.
There's nothing wrong with butter.
No.
Did you put soap in it? What happened?
No, it just they taste like taste almost like a roll. Maybe there's just not enough sugar. I don't know what there was.
Oh,
I don't know what happened.
I put in a cup and 3 tablespoons of flour, and I thought maybe I just didn't put enough flour.
Maybe so. That could be it. That would be a reason that they would spread too. Yeah. Oh, so you got a mouth
butter and not enough flour. There you go.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a mouthful of sugar and butter.
Yeah, it tasted like I was eating butter, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, mine turned out pretty good. I mean, Jody, you're a better writer than us. It's okay.
You guys are the bakers. Look, you are the bakers. I bow to you.
We have lucky days in the kitchen.
Yeah, we have lucky days and we have not so lucky days. So it's a spin of the wheel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am going to try these again. Now you've thrown down the gauntlet.
I have thrown it down. The challenge is on.
Right.
And
now, I have a question about this. It says the paddle attachment in the recipe. I used one that it kind of wasn't a hook, but it kind of looked like a hook. It wasn't flat like a paddle.
Right, but it's got space in it. Right, it's got
like
in the KitchenAid.
Yeah.
It wasn't a paddle.
I don't know what I did.
That's the paddle. Listen, I didn't even use the paddle because
Does it look like that?
Yeah, that's what I
that's
used.
the paddle. That is what that is the paddle. But I ended up not using the paddle because my KitchenAid is up on top of my refrigerator and I can't get it down. And I forgot to ask my husband to get it before he went to work. So I never used that. I just used just like a regular hand mixer and mixed it and just kept, like, I got the butter and the cream cheese mixed together really good. And then I threw the sugar and the flour in, and then it took a while, but got it mixed. Yeah. And I think that's why mine was crumbly, because I just used a hand mixer.
So maybe next time you do it, use the whisk attachment instead of the paddle and see if that makes a difference.
Yep.
I think maybe I beat it too much. I could have over whipped the butter and
the cream cheese.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is try it again.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to try a hand mixer next time and see how.
Yeah, and then let us know. You can email us a picture when you get it perfect.
I am definitely.
We'll post it and say, "Look what Jody finally did. She conquered it."
Well, they looked real pretty before they went into the oven.
They were gorgeous. I was really impressed, and I was like, I even said under my breath to Ann, "Mine don't look so good." She's like, "Just put them in the oven. We'll deal with them."
How do they taste?
Yummy. They taste so good. Delicious. And the blueberry is amazing. Sorry.
Good.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Look,
I'm sorry that my cookies turned out.
Well, it's really science. I mean, if you think about it,
Absolutely.
You guys are, mathematicians, and you know how to do things. And wow. I don't know what I did. Anyway,
it's obvious that
it was fun. It was fun to do it.
Just met us. Karen's a whiz at spreadsheets, and I'm an auditor, so I'm attention to detail.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, Jody, this has been so much fun. We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to come on our silly little show. And
yes, thank you so much. We really, really love your books, and we you've got such a sweet personality. You're so much fun. I just feel like I feel like we could be friends. I mean,
we definitely could be friends. We definitely
think.
Oh, yeah.
I just think so.
Absolutely. Poughkeepsie, here we go.
Poughkeepsie, how did we get there?
I can learn something from you guys about baking and also about true crime.
There you go.
Exactly. And sleuthing.
Yes. That's to my resume.
Yeah, resume builder. I love that.
So just for our listeners, where can they find your books?
Well, they can find my books on Amazon, any independent bookstore, places where books are sold.
Okay.
As I said, October 11th, the second edition of The Midnight Call will be released. And then I'll have a new book coming out in the spring of 2023.
Oh, exciting.
And my website is www.jode, Jode, Millman, MILLMAN.com. That's how they can find me.
Excellent.
Wonderful, Jody. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
We have just enjoyed this.
It was so much fun. Thanks again.
We would love it. We would love it if you would stay sweet and don't murder.
Because if you kill people, we will talk about you.
And it won't be pretty.
This has been Sugar Coated Murder Podcast, a deliciously entertaining true crime podcast. Like what you heard? You can always explore past episodes by visiting sugarcoatedpod.com. Don't forget to like our Facebook fan page and share with friends. Thanks for listening to Sugar Coated Murder Podcast.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.